Hello, everyone, and welcome. It's Shanna. So glad you're here. Now, I am working with Muzzy the mouse. This is another one of those cling stamp house mouse design collection stamps from Spellbinders. And we're just going to be working with this one, and he is wishing for spring. And I'm going to use this iridescent paper here, and we're just going to create a cute little snow scene in which this mouse spots the first sprig of spring and is just admiring it and wishing for spring. Now, I know whenever I see my first sprig of flowers come up, usually a crocus in my back garden, I'm always encouraged that better weather is on the way and looking forward to it. So for these cling stamps, you've got to remove your, if you've got the waffle flower sticky mat in your sweet petunia, you're going to have to remove it because you're going to need all that space for that cling stamp. Now these things stamp beautifully and crisply. You just have to pull that, your little mat out of your MISTI, and then you can stamp down. So I'm going to just use my VersaFine Clair Nocturne ink, and we're going to emboss. Now I have not typically used like a shimmery, glittery, metallic cardstock to stamp on before. I can't recall that I have. Maybe I have and I don't remember. But that's what this is. It's very shimmery and shiny, and it's got kind of a glittery, like a faux glitter. Nothing that would come off, but it's very shimmery. And it's stamped beautifully. So I'm going to go ahead and give it another inking so that I can emboss it. I want it to be good and wet. And I think I actually walked away and came back to it, and this is edited. And so I did need to stamp it again so it would be good and wet and be able to take my embossing powder that I'm going to use. And so I'll just bring in a piece of copy paper and lay my stamped image on there. And I'm just going to use my clear embossing powder, and we'll get this embossed. And that shimmer paper is just everything in this design. I'm going to bring in a silver or dark, like a gray silver shimmer paper as well to complement it. And this will be a very simple card, but I think the shimmering paper really sets it off. And I don't think the camera's giving you quite the shimmer that it has and the sheen, but it works beautifully. And you can see it's stamped and embossed perfectly on that shimmery paper. And I'm not even certain who this is from. This was was one of the pieces that came in that mystery card kit from Kendra, and so I'm not really sure, where that paper came from. So I'm going to, right now I'm checking to make sure it's good and dry, or cooled, I should say. And I'm going to use my Tri-Blend markers. They're Spectrum Noir Tri-Blend markers, and they've got a wonderful brush tip on them, and they've got the three tones. They've got the light, the mid, and the dark, so you never have to guess at what colors you need to blend. They are wonderful markers, and I love them. I'll try to remember to link them in the description box below for you. But this is, if you are not a colorist, this is definitely a stamp that you could easily get, stamp and color, because there's not a lot of coloring there, and there's so much detail in everything that I don't think you could mess it up with coloring. And it just takes so little color because there's just so much detail in the actual stamped image. And so I'm just going to get my little mouse colored up. I'm going to use kind of a lighter skin tone for his ear and his face. And then we'll bring in some darker for the rest of it. Now this is a new release. In fact, I think it's hit the stores today on December 10th. And there are some other house mouse stamps that are being released with it. Another one is called Cheers, and it's a little mouse sitting in some grapes. And I'll be working with that. I've already worked with it. I'm not sure when it'll run on my channel, but I think it'll be sometime this week that you can check it out. But these are just little cute mouse. And I've done other mouse house stamps on my channel that you could check out as well if you like them. So I'm just very lightly doing some coloring and got his little tail there. And then we'll bring some gray in as well. I'm going to do some darkening on him, and then we'll bring some gray in and just kind of touch our snow a little bit. Right now I'm just putting some lighter around kind of little furry areas and just trying to make him look a little bit more furry. I was surprised how well it stamped because it's not an exactly smooth paper, but it did great. And here's where I'm going to bring the gray in and just kind of touch the snow areas just a little bit just to give it some extra definition. And if this is sped up, it's only 1.5. A lot of times I'll speed my coloring up, 6 or 7 times just because it takes so long. But this was a fairly quick video, so I didn't think I had to speed it up too much. And the coloring is very simple. So I'm still doing my, Spellbinders Crafty Advent Calendar every day, but I'm wanting to throw in some videos with some other products throughout the process as well, just so you have some other things to look at besides just the Advent Calendar. So I'm going to get this voiceover completed and get it uploaded. Now here I was just testing out. I was thinking about doing some ink blending on this, and I don't like how it's laying. And it's likely because I'm using a distressed oxide and it's laying on top there. But I'm not liking that. And I did it in that corner because I knew I was going to trim this down. I'm actually going to trim it down a lot. I'll trim it down a little at first, and then I'll keep going until I get it the size that I want. I decided that I wanted to cut more of it off because my scene just kind of clips off there with a stamped image, and it just looks like it's just kind of hanging out there by itself. So I thought eventually I will clip it down to where the scene goes, from side to side. I just thought it looked odd, that it kind of just ended there. So we're just going to snip it off. And I decided I was going to take it off the top too. I'll just keep slicing and dicing until I get it how I want it. Now I think you can see a little bit of that shimmer on that cardstock there now. Now I just need to find some elements to go with it. Now here's where I brought in that silver, almost gray shimmer. And I thought the shimmer on shimmer would be really pretty. And then I decided that I wanted another layer in there just to really kind of separate them and just bring in an additional color. So I'm going to trim it a little bit more. And then I'll layer it up. And I'm trying to get it to where I'll have a nice frame all the way around it, and that's what I was doing. I realized that I had some wider frames on the side that I did the top and bottom, so I was just figuring out what my measurements were and trimming it down. And then I'm just going to measure this again, make sure I know what it is, and then I'm going to add 1/4 inch to this black strip, and this is just a piece of scrap. It's not very even, so I'll trim and trim and trim to try and get it even to how I want it. And sometimes when you've got a wonky edge on a couple sides, it's hard to get a good square trimmed out of it. So that's what I'm trying to do here. And so I think we're going to layer it like that, and it's going to look really pretty. I think just having that black between the white shimmer and the silver shimmer just really sets it off. Like I said, it's very basic, just a frame and frame type card. But I think it turned out really nice just because of the shimmer paper that we're using. Just measuring here, checking. I'm checking both of those to see how square they are on my glass mat. Because I was just feeling like something's not square. And so I laid them on my glass mat and was just kind of eyeballing them. And now I'm going to try and square this up again. And I just took a smidge off of there. And I think it was enough to kind of get it squared up. And I'm checking, both sides because I don't know, where the unevenness is coming from. And we'll just get this laid down on there. And I think it's super cute. And it looks like it's off a little bit, so I'm going to just use my Tim Holtz scissors and just eyeball it, still thinking that it's not completely square. And so I'm trying to eyeball it and just make it look square. I might get a little carried away. And we'll get this laid down there. We need to get a card base. I don't even have a card base there yet, so I'll grab one of those. And, oh, I was thinking about even adding another layer. That's a blue. And I'm like, nope, just need to lay it down, get a card base, let's get a card made. So I'm going to grab a card base and we'll get it laid down on there. You can see the shimmer on that silvery cardstock. And I'm going to trim it down to where I'll have a little bit of white, I think, hanging around there. And then it'll just look like multiple layers there. Oh, and I'm going to bring a black in. I'd forgotten that I'd done that. So yeah, I'm going to add that black onyx to the back of it, and we're going to have a couple layers of that black, and I think that'll set it apart. Now, if you're not wanting to waste your black, all your good cardstock, that is onyx black from Spellbinders. You could actually take a die and die cut the center of that out. I could have done that with the silver as well, and kind of had some pieces that I could have used, but I didn't. I just went ahead and layered them up, and we'll get them laid down on there. Just using some foam tape and just adding a little bit of dimension. Got to have that dimension and the shadowing, and just especially, if it's a simple card like this. And I think it looks really pretty. Now let's bring in some embellishments. I've got some black enamel dots, and it seems like the perfect option for this. And so I'm just going to grab some of them and get them laid down on there. Fill in some of those bigger white spaces. And I love this cinnamon. It says, "Where flowers bloom, so does hope." And that was Lady Bird Johnson that said that, I guess. So I think it's a cute card with a nice cinnamon on there, and perfect for spring. Thanks for watching. I hope you have a great day. Take care. Bye-bye.